Hello, my darlings, and any new darlings that happen to have run across this video out of curiosity. My name is TushyGalore, because I know this video is going to be watched by a lot of people. My name is TushyGalore. My real name is Alyssa. I am into all sorts of paranormal, crypto, zoology, whatnot, but I'm also kind of skeptical. I think a lot of people that I know, a lot of people that are into this stuff want it so bad. They want the experience and the story so badly that they sometimes, I think, read too much into things. Like, good example, orbs. Oh my God, orbs. If I watch another paranormal TV show that somebody's saying, my house is haunted, look at my pictures of orbs. They've taken them into the night sky, with a flash, or in a dirty room, or whatever. People, most of the time, those round things you're seeing is your flash reflecting off of stuff that's in the air, because the air is always full of stuff. It just is. It's full of dust. Like every time you take something, like even my little neck scarf, take it, shake it out, I am putting particles of all sorts into the air, and I just got hair all over myself because I was wearing this around my neck when I cut my bangs earlier. Anyway, most orbs in your photos are just dust, and you're making a fool of yourself. It's not spirits, you dinglings. Okay, that kind of thing. Although there are some real pictures of some round energy balls. They're glowing. They're sort of solidish looking. Some of them are even shining light onto objects nearby. Those are something to question and talk about and think about. But please do not show me any more pictures of your dust. I am not interested. That being said, I am fairly skeptical. I try to figure things out, and I'll mill over when I have an incident, because I have a lot of incidents. And when I have them, I'm like, oh, what could that have been? Surely that's not what it seems to have been. And I try to figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, I'm like, well, I guess it must have been that then. I guess it must have been a spaceship or a ghost or whatever, because I can't figure out, I can't debunk it. I can't figure out any kind of explanation. Okay. That being said, I'm not one of those people that just every little mouse fart is a ghost or Bigfoot or whatever. Just not. So, I was recently in Florida visiting a friend, and she took me to Casadaga, which is this little place. I had heard of it before. I expected it to be bigger than it was. It was teeny tiny. It is a spiritualist camp, which does not mean they're out in tents. These spiritualists, I guess some live there, and people come to visit. There is a beautiful old hotel there, which is very haunted, and has a resident psychic. There are little psychics set up all over the town. There are some neat features, like there's a place called Spirit Lake, and we tried to go to Spirit Lake, but it was pretty dried up, and we couldn't really get down to where the water was. I would have liked to have had a sample of the water, to tell you the truth, because that is where, okay, this town I think is pretty much just populated by psychics, spiritual mediums, spiritualists, healers, people that do that kind of stuff. And the friend I was with, she and I are both kind of like that too. We're not probably good enough yet to earn money at it. I don't know. She's pretty good. We both kind of have our gifts. And so that was really interesting, and I could feel it's supposedly built on a vortex, an energy vortex of some kind. I could feel it as soon as we crossed over this overpass. We were going over the overpass. My friend says, do you feel it? Do you feel it? It's like, yeah, I could. I could feel it before she even said it. It's like a feeling of energy slowing down from chaotic down to something very restful and peaceful and serene. It was a serenity and a magic, and it was a neat place. So, yeah, the Spirit Lake people, when they die, who live there, they are cremated, and their ashes are thrown into that lake, which is really just more of a little pond. And so, I mean, that's kind of neat right then and there. It's got to have a lot of power to it. But when we were done, she says, let's go to a little park near here, and let's smoke a little, and the kid that we had with us can get out and play at the park. And there was nobody there at the time. It was just us. When we first pulled in, there was another vehicle. They left. We had to walk a little bit of a distance from where we parked, not a real far distance, but a little bit to get to the picnic table. It was a heavy wooden picnic table made out of really thick wood, okay? Very sturdy. Kid went off. She was playing nearby. And I don't know, I had shit with me, my purse, but everything was making noise, and I'm trying to catch up to her because I'm kind of slow, and get to the picnic table and get my stuff on the table and whatnot. And there's crinkling and noise, but she had already said, she said something. I was like, what? And she says, do you hear that knocking? Well, I didn't at first, but I sat down and got quiet, and I could. Now, she had already told me that when she had been there before, she had kind of freaked out. She was there with a friend or two, I don't know, with some people, because she could overwhelmingly sense Sasquatch. Okay? She felt that there were Sasquatch there because this little park is just a little square, and on at least two sides of it is this woods, forest, jungle stuff. It's so thick I couldn't have walked into it. Very, very dense. If you've ever been to Florida, North Florida, South Georgia, you know what I'm talking about. Very tropical, jungly, very heavily planted, lots of plants. Okay? So she had freaked out because she was like, I sense them, they're here. And so I think she was already kind of listening for them or looking for them to maybe be there again this time around. And so there was this knocking, and I wish I had brought something with me to knock on. So hold on, I've got to get something to knock on so this will be legitimate. Or more. Oh, my glasses just fell on the floor. Okay. So use the Kleenex box as our example. It was... Here we were. Here's the vehicle we drove in. And further along, there were some trees where it started, that thick foresty stuff. Very, very tall but thin trees. And there was this kind of spazzy knocking. It wasn't really rhythmic, but it was knocking for sure. And it seemed to be coming from up in that tree. And I just, on instinct, I thought, well, this is something intelligent. Let's see. And I went like that, rhythmic 1, 2, 3. And almost immediately it went. It's like, okay. So it went from non-rhythmic, spazzy to copying me. And so I went. And it went. And then threw shit out of the tree. Down would come twigs. It would shake a branch, shake it really hard. It was throwing leaves out. Like there would be what looked like a handful of leaves thrown out of the tree. They weren't drifting, falling. They were like, ugh. And several times I tapped certain rhythms. I didn't do the shave and a haircut. I wish I had. By God, if it had gone at the end, that would have been hilarious. But we did that for a while and watched the tree as little twigs and things were thrown out, as branches were violently shaken. And then some kids came around, some little kids from across the road, and they were playing. And it was quite a few kids. And they were a little wild. So we started watching them and talking about them, and we weren't paying attention to the knocking anymore. And at some point, I realized the knocking had stopped completely. I said, oh, did you notice that the knocking has stopped? And before I could get it all out of my mouth, here comes the knocking again. Knocking, knocking, knocking. Like it heard me and understood. Okay, now that could be a fluke. Absolutely, that could be a fluke. But it happened twice where it would get quiet and we get distracted, and I'd say, oh, did you notice the knocking has stopped? Knock, 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 knock. It was strange. Shaking the tree. I think it was fascinated watching the children, if it could see them from up there. But whatever it was, couldn't have been very big, I don't think, because that was a fairly small tree. If I think of it, I will put a photo of the tree right here, and there's a crappy little circle I drew around the area of the tree, whatever that was. And I tried to take pictures. I wish I had gone to the base of the tree and looked straight up. I did not, because they were ready to go, and I kind of didn't want to drag things out. But it was my big opportunity. Why didn't I do it? I don't know. Stupid. But I did get a couple of pictures. I don't see anything in them. The tree was kind of dense. I don't know. Aggravating that I didn't make more out of the situation at the time while I had the opportunity to. But I did not. But there is my story. And it was not a woodpecker, because I know what woodpeckers sound like. That was not a woodpecker. The fact that it was not rhythmic and it was kind of spazzy and all over the place made me think not a woodpecker. I really felt like it was almost like an ape type thing. It felt very silly and playful, like a little chimpanzee. But the fact that it mimicked me, I mean, it did it right off the bat. It didn't waste any time at all in mimicking exactly what I would knock on that table. It was playing a game with me and throwing stuff. Well, a monkey could throw stuff out of the tree, I guess. So, you know, and it is Florida. There could be escaped monkeys, or people have had monkeys and let them go, monkeys or chimpanzees. But I don't see how it could know what I was saying, especially the distance that I was from it. If it had been a human, they would not have been able to hear me saying, did you notice the knocking has stopped? And I don't know. It's very strange. It was way too high up in this sort of skinny tree, I think, for a person to have gotten up there very easily at all. It would be dangerous. So Nikki, my friend that was with me, is very into Sasquatchy stuff too, and she is of the belief that they cloak themselves, and I'm really starting to think so as well. That maybe their fur even has some kind of ability to cloak them, because a lot of times in photos and stuff I've seen, all you can see is the face. You can make out the face and sometimes a little hair around, but then they're cloaked, and they are camouflaged somehow. So, you know, could be. It was interesting. It was neat. I love it. I keep thinking about it. It always makes me smile. Whatever it was being very playful. And I think it was possibly a young squatch. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your experiences have been, if any. Pretty neat stuff. Bye, y'all.